Welcome to Decomposition Episode 2. My name is Lena Muchetti, and I am the Artistic Director of New Light Theater, and I am joined by Ryan Michaels. Ryan, tell us who you are and what you're doing here.
I'm an intern here at New Light Theater. I'm the host of this show, Decomposition, and we're just talking to people about how they made their beautiful music. That's really it.
That's what it is. So if this is your first time joining us for Decomposition, this is all about celebrating and uplifting musical theater artists and their resilient creativity. And Ryan talked to 4 artists for tonight's episode: Robbie, Katie, Kevin, and Jake, breaking down a song from each of them and chatting about their inspiration and their process. And he had big, long, beautiful conversations with each of them that we had to break down into tiny little bite-sized glimpses into each of these amazing folks. And you'll get to hear from all 4 of them and hear their songs tonight. And if you would like to help us support these lovely folks and other artists, we'd be so grateful if you would consider using the donate button below and tossing in a donation to help New Light Theater keep engaging great artists and keep creativity alive. So, we ready to jump in with Robbie? Let's go.
Let's go!
We will always be together, you and I.
Hi, I'm Robbie Hager. I use he, him pronouns. And I am an actor, composer here in Philadelphia, originally from Mexico City, and moved to the US up to New York area in the year 2000, and then just started doing theater and musicals and all this good stuff. I've been a composer in the last 4 to 5 years. And this musical I wrote called Little Duende is new, and it's a very personal one to me because it is about the immigration process, specifically for children who make this trip north, either to seek refuge, escape violence, or to be reunited with a loved one. So this musical follows the story of one specific young girl who's trying to reach her mother and in search of her mother to save her from this evil spirit. It's all sort of told through fairy tale and allegories and metaphors. So the young girl is really an elf, which is what duende means. So she's in search of her mother who got kidnapped by this evil spirit, and she's going to go find her in the northern land of the Araseñas, which sort of means fairyland. And then everything just ensues out of that. What does that mean when you get to a place like that? And what is, it deals with the crisis right now at the border of the U.S.-Mexican border. It deals with dual citizenship. It deals with what that means, what it means to be of dual citizenship, and where is your identity? Where do you belong? What does home mean to you? And there's a little extra little things here that's within the story of family secrets and stuff like that. But that's basically the big idea of this, in order to just kind of, bring more awareness to the pain children go to get to a better life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something that's so fascinating about the whole concept is how you're talking about such heavy and real current problems that we're dealing with. And you've managed to paint them in a fairy tale, like you're saying, this magical world. How did you come to the decision or the realization that you wanted to use all of this metaphor and all of these allegories?
Yeah, my inspiration was back, I think it was back in 2016, 2017, when I wanted to write a Mexican musical. I was like, I don't know what to write. I looked at legends, I looked at all these other things, and then I thought maybe La Llorona might have something. But then I bumped into this video on YouTube about this mother who was deported, whose kids were born in the U.S., so they stayed, but she was deported back to Mexico. And she wrote these stories, among with other women, other mothers, in order to tell their young kids what happened, but without the violence, without the horrors of it. And so they used metaphors, they used, allegories, and it's, sort of like a bedtime story. And then from there, I just was very, very moved. And how can I bring something similar to that to a musical version? Which in musicals, obviously, we have the magic, we have everything. And it's really powerful when you start realizing, oh, this relates to what's really happening today. It's really happening to actual people.
And not only is the story so magical, but the way you tell the story through the music, the song "Mi Amor," which you submitted, Oh my gosh, I love so much how it takes its time. It doesn't try and rush into the deep, like the gut wrenching stuff so quickly. It takes its time, and it's beautiful. Like it almost feels like an aria to begin with.
Yeah.
The harpsichord, it's so magical. And then when you hear it's the mother singing to her child, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Or it's a duet.
Yeah.
And just the moments. I'm trying to remember a lyric specifically that really hit me. I'm gonna jumble it, but it was something about how the dark, that you will shine the light in the darkness of the world, or it was some metaphor of that, about the light that this child has. And just listening without the context of the story entirely, that broke my heart. And now hearing the context, that pulls me down so much harder. It holds so much weight to think about why she's saying that. That's So how do you go about creating such lullaby-esque or dream-like sound? Like where do you begin to craft that?
Well, a lot of it is my inspiration. My big inspirations are Danny Elfman, and there's another composer, Gustavo Santaolalla. He's pretty well known for his soundtrack for Motorcycle Diaries. Love his stuff, and Philip Glass. So those are my three really top composers that I like. Just very mystical, very dark, and there's some repetitive to this, but there's also a fantasy, magical-esque thing about it. That, like, that's where I get a lot of my, like, sort of fairy tale sounds, and try to, like, bring that orchestration, specifically Danny Elfman orchestrations, are so magical, right? I get a lot of that. That's my inspiration. And when I really start thinking about lullaby or something, I really think about traditional lullabies, even like anywhere in the world. And it's just simplicity. Right, just keep it simple and tell the story.
I think one of the most impactful choices in that song is there's a brief break where there's no vocals, and it's either a guitar or a mandolin. Guitar. Oh my gosh, that thing just weaves right into your heart and cracks it into pieces. It's so gorgeous.
Thank you.
So do you play all of the instruments in this, or how are you like actually writing these things?
Yeah, well, usually my process, what's been helpful for me is I have a Logic Pro. It's this program, I'm sure maybe you know it, but the program that has tons of instruments. You can just record your vocals, and it gives you a list of instruments. And then I have my MIDI keyboard. That's a full keyboard. And I really just play piano. I play a little guitar, but I haven't done it in a little while. But then I just orchestrate that to, okay, I want this instrument to play this one to play this part. And then I have, right now I'm only doing the piano vocal score, which is literally just means the piano and the vocals. But when I orchestrate it, I'll just then go to my other program called Finale that I use, where I put in the notes of which instrument plays what and all that stuff. But I hear it first. I put it in the Logic Pro first, and then from there I'll be like, okay, and I'll transfer it to sheet music.
Every note holds so much weight in it. Like specifically when the string comes in and almost mimics what the lead vocals are doing, and the strings are like just so close to writing that same melody, but every once in a while they dip to a harmony, and it's just it's so purposeful, I think is the word. Like every note just holds so much weight in it that the tension and release of it all is so gratifying.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Can I go back to, like, I love movie scores. I mean, soundtracks for movies, like, I'd love to one day do that, to do some film scoring. And I think I get so much of that. That's the Philip Glass in me. I feel like, hearing those, like, sustained notes while whole chord moves around it, I think that's kind of a very film-esque quality that I like to use.
You have such a good perspective of art and how it should be created. What are the things you need to remind yourself of?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, thank you. I like the things that I do. I think it's listening to people who are, successful in whatever that means, like in the way that are happy, are activists in the way of how they do their art, and they believe in equality for voices to be heard. I think that, keeping an open ear, and when it doesn't click or you don't agree with, not react immediately. Just take it in as to why it is that, always. I think it's always like asking myself, if I don't agree with something, first I check in with myself, why is that? And if an answer is very clear, then that's what it is. But if it isn't, then it's like, keep listening. My dad always said to me, like, he always said, I was always the last one to give my opinion because I love to hear everybody's opinion, And it wasn't always the correct opinion, but it was an opinion that I made after I knew where I was and who was in the room and how I can like express myself. So I'm listening, I think that's
Wow.
in a way, that's kind of what I try to do. But I always keep saying but it's still not, it's only my opinion. It's only how I perceive things. And someone's always going to be in disagreement with me. And as long as I respect that, that's good.
How does it feel to have taken care of the show for so long, and then like how does it evolve along the way? What kind of things are you not expecting to change that do change, and what changes that you were expecting?
That's a great question because so much changed for the better. That's the thing that like with my experience as an actor and doing readings up in New York or here in Philly or anywhere, like doing shows, when the creators are like not as open to having the actors or a director, play around with the script or play around with characters, then it doesn't really feel like it will develop. It doesn't feel like it's going to advance. Not always, but most of the time that's kind of like, there's always like a wall that gets put up and then that's the end of the show because they're not allowing it to grow. So I always try to say, go for it to all the actors. Just give me something, and if it goes that way, if it feels like it's the right choice, we'll do that. With director, who was Steve Pasek for Basic Witches, he took that and made it incredible. Like I added some moments that weren't in the script, it just like made sense and made it so fun. The other thing is that Basic Witches became a trans musical during this process. In the beginning, I wanted to cast a non-binary character in one of the roles, but in my mind, I was focused on the four witches, which are played by four drag queens, and that was like those are our leads, right? But as we developed and we kept on going with the musical and Sav, who played the role of Eddie, they were amazing, and I just wanted to keep writing more things for them, and it really lift up, at least provide a platform.
Something so cool about when you embark on a magical journey in a world that isn't founded in like our reality. I mean, sure, it is founded in our reality and real issues, but the world itself is not our world. And the cool thing about that is that the magic that comes in, there's the beautiful positivity and the light of that. But then, there's also the other side to it. If things can be so magical and so beautiful in this world, then they can also get so dark, so twisted. And that's something so unique about this story is how both sides of that really do need to be told.
Yeah. And I think that's just like, a huge thing of a goal for this is to tell people to not lose their magic. And by that, I mean, don't lose your curiosity. Don't lose don't lose that pat on the back of yourself, the darkest times, don't lose your magic. Don't lose the fact that, your belief system, whatever it may be, that you are a higher being than your darkest self. I think that's kind of like what I hope that this music is like. That's why I put magic in it. It's like, that we all love magic. We all love fairy tales. We all love the colors and the flying and that kind of thing. Those are metaphors for the fact that we can have that magic in our life. We can access that. We just, become afraid to even take the risk to fly. Thank you so much for tuning in and for this interview, Ryan. So this is my song, Mi Amor, from Little Blended, and it's performed by my sister, Danielle Hager, and friend, Brianna Lopez. Enjoy.
My love, mi amor, ¿cómo olvidar aquella noche lustre, cuando te tuve en mis brazos, cantaron las estrellas y llenaron cada esquina con su luz, protegiéndote del mal. Si un día algo te aferra, en la noche encuentra la estrella fugaz. Al brillar sabrás que siempre estoy en tu corazón. There is fuerza in your soul, and that strength is yours alone. There is orgullo in your heart, and that pride is your home. I remember how the stars came out at night when I held you in my arms. They sang lullabies, filling every inch of darkness with their light, always shielding you from harm. Cruel villains, brick by brick, they built a wall. Evil, hatred, and revenge. But you are brave and you are strong, and you'll change the world. You will change the world.
My love,
Mi amor, we will always be together, you and I. Mi vida, tú y yo. Nothing ever remains the same, but our love multiplies. I'll never forget the day when I looked into your eyes. Mi amor. Till you know how I'm feeling bright and breezy whenever I'm with you.
Hi, my name is Katie Horner. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am the composer, lyricist, orchestrator of Bright and Breezy. The only things that I'm not doing on the song are bass, guitar, and saxophone. Those are my dear friends, Jonah Martin, Marshall Beaver, and Haley Berkowitz. And yeah, I wrote this song. I usually don't write love songs because I feel like everything that I write lyrically ends up being kind of trite and like it feels like it's been done before, or I'm not actually getting at the seed of like the feelings that I'm having. But I realized when ruminating on my feelings for this one person that it wasn't anything like big and dramatic or passionate or, you know, like lots of melodrama. It was just simply the fact that I loved being around them. And I feel like a lot of us have learned from this past year that the people that you want to surround yourselves with are the people that are not draining and the people who, you know, just allow you to be as you are in whatever moment you are. So that was how I was feeling about this person. And so I decided from there came the hook of the chorus, and then the verses came thereafter. And yeah, I realized that it didn't have to be this big, like, protestation of love and, you know, like, you are the only one. There will never be another.
Right.
It's just that I like spending time with you here and now. That's all I want to tell you.
And that's so real and so tangible. Like, there's part of, you know, everybody loves the Romeo and Juliet balcony scene and that huge declaration of love. And it's so massive and beautiful. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to relate to that. Like not all of us live these crazy lives where we're screaming at the top of our lungs in the middle of the streets of Philadelphia that you are my person. This doesn't really happen. The truth of the matter is that like love and the light that people bring you tends to come in a very natural way. And that's what's so incredible about it, is how things just seem to work, and I love that that's the sentiment of the song. The piece itself has like what I picked up as like 6 different sections, and like the intro and how okay. So let's talk a little bit about those sections. I'd love to hear how because it's so fluid. They move and it's fluent, and they move into each other so nimbly. It's like you don't even realize things are changing. So how did you approach all of these transitions and all of these different sections?
So I guess I'm coming from, or I got my start in writing for musical theater. And so I guess I was just accustomed to like having a point A from the scene that we're coming from, and needing to have a journey so that we end up at a point B. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the beginning was very much like, I imagined it might be the underscoring for a scene that's happening, whatever. And so that beginning trumpet with the orchestra underneath kind of felt to me like I was alone in my room. And the first lyric is, I had a thought last night, dear. So like, that is the evening thoughts of the person. And then we switch into, all right, I'm going to tell this person, I'm going to go up to them and tell them what I thought last night. And then that's the song starting. And it does get, I say that, it's not this big protestation of love, but it is kind of a big song and dance number. I guess the speaker really, really goes there and commits to get it, like trying to make this person understand just how deeply they feel. Mm-hmm. But then all of that eventually leads to the outro section, which to me, I guess I was envisioning that it's, actually being at peace with that person and enjoying the bright and breezy feeling of being with that person. And just, it's floaty and it's drifting and there's little movements from the instruments here and there. But for the most part, you could just stay in that world forever and enjoy it. And that's how I feel being with this person. So yeah, that kind of journeying from the moment of conception of, I want to tell this person, to the journey of being successful, hopefully.
So what are your inspirations? Like what was some of the music that you, as a child or as a young musician heard and thought like, oh my gosh, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to write like that. How did you come to the realization that you wanted to write?
Again, with being in the jazz band in high school, I started to write for like big band stuff, but then I realized that I was missing something, and I think I was missing the voice. And you can write, stuff for voice and big band, but I kind of fell off that for a while, and then I was starting to write choral pieces. I wrote some of those in college because we had to take choral ensemble at Temple University. So, just being surrounded by that. And I think I'm very porous in terms of being susceptible to the things that I'm surrounded by, and being, inspired by what I'm surrounded by. And I love the rehearsal setting, especially because you can break down all the different parts and see how each part of the anatomy is functioning. Where, if you're just listening to it in, live or on your computer, you get the general sense, but actually listening to the bass part and seeing how it interacts with the percussion is something that always fascinated me and was inspiring to be like, I understood why that was a fun thing. Just, I felt it in my body, but I didn't know why until just now. So understanding that and breaking it down kind of like a mini masterclass was cool. And then I kind of stepped away from it because, I don't know, post-graduation, you're like, what am I doing? What should I focus on? You know what I mean? And then I got out my Joni Mitchell CDs again, or not CDs, albums again.
Ooh.
Yeah. And especially like Hejira and Help Me, the album that Help Me is on, I forget that one, the name of that one, but I was just like, oh man, she is so freaking good.
Yeah.
Everything about her songwriting is amazing. And then it also helped that I had a play idea that was set in the 70s. We like did some flashbacks to the 60s and 70s. So that was her time period anyway. So I was like, what if I tried to write like her for the flashbacks? And so then I started to do that. And then I was like, oh, I actually feel very at home in this style with these influences and stuff. So it's kind of, and then I got back on that horse and here I am.
So what are you looking forward to now that it seems as if the world is beginning to reopen a little bit? What are the things that are bringing you joy that you're looking forward to?
I think definitely chief among them is making music with real people again. I mean, a large part of me wants to go back and re-record this song with like a full band and a new arrangement so that I can just, because like I sent a karaoke track to the saxophone player, for example, and she recorded her thing, and then it was amazing. But like to get it so that it sounded like we were in the same room, I had to like scooch everything and make it and do a little bit of volume changes and stuff so that we were doing the same articulation and whatever. So it's just so much work and all of this stuff that can be avoided when you're playing in real time with people. So I would love to go back and do like a studio version of this song.
I think one of the most formative experiences I've had in a jam session is I'm playing with I think like 4 other musicians. I'm on the keys, and there's a bassist, a drummer, a guitarist, and the bassist starts this groove, and I'm like, oh my god, like I am about to go crazy on this thing, and I start playing, and I'm just playing so loud and all of these different licks, and most of them don't make sense, but a couple do. And my friend, who I know very well and love very deeply, he turns to me, he was playing the guitar, and he couldn't hop in because I was just occupying all the space in the world. Like he couldn't find a place to get into this jam. And he looked at me and he said, "It's more about what you don't play." And then turned, and I was like, how dare he? At first it was an ego thing. At first I was so hurt that somebody would tell me to be quiet. I was like, I thought we were doing this together. Yeah. And then, the more I jam and the more I look back at that, like that is probably the best thing anybody's ever done for me in terms of my growth as a musician is it's more about what you're not playing. To allow everybody else to shine is what makes a band great, is what makes a person great, is somebody that lets other people, that gives space for everyone else. So I'm curious for you, what are the, because we've all got those, like what is the formative experiences for you that you think, like in relation to music, that have shaped how you conduct your life now?
I feel like there have been a lot of instances of what you're talking about in terms of like a humility moment. Lots of little things. I think like in our jazz band in school, I played first trumpet, so always the high part, and I shared it with somebody else, and like we had to duke it out as to who got to play what like amazing high part, because we would get tired. Like it's such a physical thing, and you literally lose circulation in your lips when you're playing that high. So you have to like take a break for a minute. And so we'd like have to be like, all right, I want this moment to shine. But he'd be like, well, I want this one. And I think I had such like angst and frustration about that, being in high school. And then we'd win like best trumpet section of the competition. And we'd be like, well, it's because of me. Well, no, it's because of me. And it's just the worst. But so like, I think, stepping back and realizing that it is, again, as you're saying, a team effort. Mm-hmm. And jazz is really an amazing place to learn that lesson too, because like usually everybody gets a solo. Like if you're in a trio or something, yeah, sure, it's the sax that's the feature for today, but the bass is going to do it too, and the piano, or it's a quartet, I guess, in this situation. The bass is going to get a solo, piano, then the drums, and everybody gets a chance to shine. So that was helpful to see that working. That every member of the band is their own superstar. They're just filling different spaces.
Even the triangle player.
Exactly. They're important. More triangle, more cowbell always. They make or break it, man. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Ryan and New Light Theater, for being amazing. And please now enjoy my song, Bright and Breezy.
Last night, dear, and let me know if I'm crazy here, but we got a good thing going. When every day's a burden and everything is hurting me, then suddenly you got me summer rain. Yeah, when you're near, the skies are clear, but I know we both got reasons to keep it friendly and cool. Yeah, we both got reasons to not go breaking the rules, but I'm not trying to be just another sweet nothing to you. I wanna give you love so true. I'm not trying to pass you by till you know how I am feeling bright and breezy whenever I'm with you. Yeah, I'm singing with the brass band. I'm trying to make you understand that I'm so into you, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Oh, it's built on being friendly. Yeah, loving you'd be heavenly and so easy, so clear and breezy. Oh, so bright and breezy. And yeah, we both got reasons to keep it friendly and cool. But baby, forget the reasons and let's go breaking the rules. I'm not trying to be just another sweet nothing to you. I got love to give, you know it's true. I'm not trying to pass you by till you know how I'm feeling bright and breezy whenever I'm with you. Yeah, whenever I'm with you.
hearts right now, and now is all we have. So say
All right, so hi everybody. My name is Kevin John. I am a singer, songwriter. I am a musical theater actor. I am a server at a restaurant. I am everything in the entire world. You name it, I do it. I am newly embarked in the music world, and I am so excited to be a part of this. I'm so excited to be talking with you, Ryan, and happy to be here.
Happy to have you here, Kevin. So you submitted a song called "Say Yes," and one of the things that really gripped me about this song was just how gut-wrenchingly simple it is. It doesn't try to say too much about this love that you can feel for a person, yet it says everything, man. It really covers the whole ground of the pain you can feel, yet the release you can get. And I'm just curious, what caused you to write the song? What was the moment where you were like, you know what, I need to write this?
Well, first off, thank you. That's so sweet. I love this song, and the initial inspiration for me was I was at a wedding recent, and this is back October, a little wedding, and obviously the couple had their first dance, and it was so beautiful and really touched my heart and made me cry. I cry about anything can make me cry. If it's happy, if it's sad, I'm crying. And I was like, thinking about it, I was like, oh, there's no gay wedding songs. And I'm very in love with my partner, Brandon. We've been together for about 3 years now. And I wanted to write a love song that in an ode, followed the journey of love. And I wanted it to be, it's for everybody. It's literally for no matter your sexuality, no matter who you love, this song is for you. But I wanted to write a song that was specific towards a certain audience. And in the same way of when Ed Sheeran's writing his love songs, he makes it specific enough so that it feels personal.
Right.
And that's so for Say Yes, I really, it all just came from the heart. I wrote it and I wrote all the lyrics in about a couple hours, just sitting and listening to the music over and over again. And I didn't overthink it, which usually I'm a huge overthinker. So that's essentially why it's so simple.
That's funny because a lot of music creators that I know, the one thing that we all have to remind each other of is hey, bro, it's good. Stop touching it. Stop working on that. And It's so cool that even with how you're speaking about it, there's still that vein of okay, slow down though. And I'm curious, what is it for you that lets you slow down? What do you focus on in order to stop just racing with all of the ideas?
Well, I mean, it's funny because when I worked on this song, I was actually writing a different song that was very sad, dramatic, very just heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching, and I was at a writer's block. I was but I was just kept pushing and pushing. I was I can't figure this out anymore. I want to write something happy, something that is so opposite of this right now. Just to it came from a place of just got to clear my mind. So I was well, let me write something that's so opposite of this sad song that I'm writing right now. And that's kind of how I got into the space to clear my head. So it always takes me I hit the wall and then I need to shift gears and go around it and start going down a different road. So that's kind of how my
man. Because you could spend all day trying to knock that wall down, but is that the most productive thing you could do for yourself? And is that helping yourself? At some points it's just hey man, this song ain't it today, I guess. And it's important. I think it's really cool that you could pivot, you could change gears like that, and you ended up with a full, awesome fucking song, man.
I literally couldn't be any happier with the way that it turned out. And so I work closely. So my songwriting partner is my cousin. His name's Joseph Valeri, and he's so wildly talented. And so he makes the tracks, and then I come up with the lyrics and the melody to the song. And this was a song that he the whole time was like, this is so good. This is so good. And I kept being like, it's okay. It's okay. I need to work on it more. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It needs a little touch ups. And what I learned, especially from Say Yes, is I need to start saying yes and trusting my gut, because I can write some good stuff.
So you've mentioned that you are relatively new to the music making world. Tell me what the process has been like and how you found your way in.
I was sitting with my boyfriend's stepdad, and we were just having a talk, and he was like, you can sing. And I was like, yeah, I sing. And he's like, and you can like write music? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I haven't, but yeah, I could. And he's like, then why aren't you? And I was like, well, you know, this and that. Like, I was like, oh, well, I don't have like equipment to do that. And he was like, we'll go to the Guitar Center tomorrow and we'll get equipment. I was like, well, and then like I don't really have like the space for it. I was just making excuses, and then he was like, well, let's go look at equipment. We'll find something. Went to Guitar Center, got the stuff, and now I was like, well, now I have to use it because I made an investment on this.
Yeah.
But I've had friends who have put out music before, so I reached out to a bunch of people and asked about how they distributed it, how they market it, how they put it all out there. And so I kind of relied on others, and that led me to here. And so far my music is doing beyond what I ever expected. I almost have 3,000 streams on Spotify for each of my first 2 singles. And my newest single actually comes out tomorrow. Please check out Running. By the time this comes out, it'll be available everywhere. So yeah, listen to Say Yes, Higher, and Running, all on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, my Instagram, my TikTok, you name it, it is there.
So when you're working on, let's stay specific to Say Yes. When you started working on Say Yes, you already had the full track, right? Correct? Or was it a partial chord progression, or what were you working with?
So my cousin Joey had recorded a guitar part. He had a verse and a chorus of a guitar and sent that to me. And so I put it on GarageBand. I repeated it twice, spliced it together, and then I just started writing to that. And then from there, I sent him back my ideas, me singing on the track. He then went, and I mean, we're doing this all separate, so like, technology is crazy. And so then he wrote a bridge to it, and then finished out the track. I finished writing the rest of the song, and that's how it all pieced together. And one of my favorite things, actually, so in Say Yes, after the final bridge into the last chorus, there's this one moment where it like everything pulls out and it goes, forever starts right now, and it's like completely silent, and then it comes in like, so say boom, ba-da-ba-ba. And like, so that was something, even when we recorded, that like that didn't exist. So Joey sends me back the track, and he's like, I fooled around with something at the end, let me know if you like it. And I was like, it's good, this is it, I love this.
Yeah, man, because that is such an explosion at the end.
I love it.
Oh, big. And you don't see it going there.
Yeah. And like my visual for that is like, you're on like a mountainside cliff and like you're just like proclaiming to the world forever starts right now. And oh, that's my favorite moment.
What are some of the musical moments you've had of failure that have really that you've learned a lot from?
I think especially in terms of my songwriting journey, I have always been creative. I have lyrics in my head. I have stories in my head. I'm always writing stuff down. I'm always putting things on paper. And I have never done anything with it at all. And so one of the biggest failures I had was just myself putting up a velvet rope that I wasn't allowed to cross yet. And in my head, I was like, just kept thinking, well, someday I'm going to make my own music. Someday I'm going to be this creator.
So when you get a beat or a song from your cousin or a backing track, whatever we'll call it, what are the first thoughts of, like, as it's going through? Is it very quickly like, oh, this is a song about this, or how does the song take literal shape?
Mm-hmm. So he'll usually send a working title to every song, but a lot of times I sometimes completely ignore it. And so what I do is I listen to it, knowing that word in mind, and I'll go for a walk, I'll go to the gym, I'll ride on the subway, and I'll just listen to it a bunch until I hear a melody and I feel like the energy of it. I feel like one of my biggest blocks in writing music has been I would go and sit at a piano and be like, okay, what am I doing? And working with my cousin has allowed me to really explode and write so much, because I think I work better with structure, and I work better. A blank sheet of paper freaks me out, but you give me a little outline, perfect. We're good. We're writing. We're rolling.
I'm curious, what has your experience in the theater life been like, and what kind of things have you done in the theater world lately?
Yeah, I do so much, and I just have such a love for theater. I have a love for storytelling. I have a love for being stupid, for being silly, for being serious. I love to feel everything, and theater has been such a great road for me I've experienced so many different things, and I've gotten to tell so many awesome stories, and yeah, I love it.
That's a beautiful life right there, man.
Ryan, thank you so much. Thank you everyone at New Light. I think this series is so incredible, so amazing, and I've loved getting to hear all these different artists. Cannot wait for you all to listen to Say Yes.
My whole world changed the day we met. I wanted to be the one to dry your tears, and although you may not know it yet, I'm gonna love you for 100 years. I can't promise it'll always be easy, but I can promise to be by your side. I can promise I'll be too much sometimes. It's gonna be a wild ride, so hold my hand and then hold your breath, 'cause forever starts right now. Forever starts right now. So say you can, let me be your man, 'cause forever starts right now. And now So say yes. Watching you walk down the aisle, looking so handsome I can barely breathe. You look so fly in your suit and tie. We're gonna make an amazing team. So hold my hand and then hold your breath, 'cause forever starts right now. Forever starts right now. So say you can let me be your man, 'cause forever starts right now. And now is all we have. So say yes. I promise to love you forever this way, till the day we turn 99. And then in our 100th year, I'll ask you again, will you be mine? So hold my hand and then hold your breath, 'cause forever starts right now. Forever starts right now. So say you can be my man, 'cause forever starts right now. And I don't want this moment to end. So hold my hand and then hold your breath, 'cause forever and ever and ever and ever and ever starts right now. So say you can be my man, 'cause forever starts right now. And now is all we have. So say yes.
I know I'm not fantastic, Mr. Fox. If nothing else, then you'll
Hi,
get back.
I'm Jake Collins. I'm a composer, musician, music director, actor, all of those things from Wilmington, Delaware. I am now based in Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm going to be showing off the song that I wrote for a Fantastic Mr. Fox musical.
Right, and the something about this song, like the way that I want to say the way the lyrics are, they're heavy in content, right? I mean, the girl is going through this definite moment of anguish and pain, but there's also, the crack of the whack. There's all these cool lyrical, and it's really fun to listen to the whole time. So how did you go about crafting the deeper side of it as well as the humorous sides in it?
Right. So the first thing is that this is a song that is sung by, I don't know if anybody knows the film, but it's for anybody who is speaking back to me. But Ash in the film is this very teenage angsty kid, and there are so many ding-dang musical theater songs about angsty teens that I kind of dislike because I feel like they all fall into the same category. So I wanted to try to bring a little bit more of a lyrical nature to it. And I think that the deepness that I tried going for here kind of comes from the phrase that and like that sweeping type of thing. Basically, the song is about Ash wants to be something bigger than he is. So I picked like the biggest interval to possibly sing across. The entire chorus jumps from octave to octave. This da 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 da. So we've sung a full octave in there, trying to fit more into the measure than we actually can. Which I think is super fun. And I was really happy when that came out. And then also I'm just a fan of the inner rhyme, and I think that in the lyric where you are using so many words, like I just shoved a whole bunch of words, and I wanted it to have a flowing nature to it beyond just trying to give this person some stuff to say.
Right.
So Ella, the singer of the track, could use the words to propel herself through the entirety of the phrase. So I think that that's kind of where those moments come from.
And that's such a uniquely musical theater perspective too. Is that you're using the lyrics to help inform the choice of the actor. I think that's a really smart choice for you here.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I think that kind of comes from a little bit. But a little bit of my acting training. I think that because I have done a little bit of acting, I want to make songs that are easy for actors to sing.
And God bless you, man, because not enough people think about that.
I want to write songs that I am able to sing myself, and maybe that's like a little bit narcissistic, but I want to write a song that gives an actor enough to go off of at the top of the song such that there's a trajectory when we get to the end. Because otherwise we've sung for 4.5 minutes for no reason.
Right.
And I don't want that.
And the song itself, I mean, something about it that I really enjoy is how there's so many different sections to it, and there's the song evolves and grows and also breaks down as it goes. Like once we get to the end, we get those strings that transition us into this much more somber tone and this part of the song with a lot more space that caught me so off guard. I was expecting it to be a normal musical theater song that goes and goes and goes and goes and then we're done. But it goes and goes and goes, and then it gives you time to almost think about what you've been through, like through the rest of the song with that moment of space that I just really like that turn you put in there. It's a smart choice. It's a cool choice, man.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I think that the pivotal lyric of the song is "How's he a better son than me?" And we've kind of reached like this full explosion type of deal happening in the entirety of the first half of the bridge. And then we get to that lyric and it puts things in perspective for a moment, which I think is what gives the space, which my wonderful orchestrator and composer friend Brendan Moriak helped. He's amazing. But he definitely helped create the space that I was looking for in that moment by just putting in a couple of Rhodes and a couple of guitars, and that was it. So we could, when we get to the final chorus, it hits a little bit harder, rather than just full throttle 100% of the time.
For as long as I've known you, you've been so deeply into the music creation and the musical workings and all of that. And I feel like I never knew a Jake Collins without this tied to him. And so I'm curious how this found its way to you. How did the writing aspect specifically, when did it become clear that, oh, I can do this and I want to do this?
So I've written a number of really dumb songs on my YouTube channel, Jake Collins on YouTube, little plug for myself there. And I write a lot of dumb stuff, and I really enjoy writing really stupid songs about Willem Dafoe or Beach Day Candles or trying to get me to host the Oscars. And what I kind of realized with comedy songs is that there needs to be a trajectory in them, Like, you can't write a comedy song without an arc, because then a joke just kind of gets burnt out really quickly.
Right.
And then I kind of figured that's a lot like musical theater, and I just kind of applied that arcness to it on how to build a song through comedy into a musical theater context. And I think that's where I've ended up.
So where do you see this song going? What's the intention and direction of the musical? Is this just for fun? Is this a passion project? Is it more than that? What?
For my history of musical theater final, I could either write an 8-page paper or do something of my own choosing. And I asked the teacher if I could write a musical, and she said, that will probably be way more work than an 8-page paper. And I said, yes, I know that. So it started as just like a project for class. But now I kind of have seen what Mr. Fox in its entirety can be. And I think that it can be... I'm thinking along the lines of James and the Giant Peach by Pasek and Paul. They've written a show that is so malleable to any kind of theater company. Like, anybody can produce that show, no matter the orchestration that they might have available to them or who they have in their casting pool. that show is incredibly castable just due to its kind of handmade nature. And I realized that Roald Dahl does that a lot. And Fantastic Mr. Fox has that opportunity where you can make it a show that can be cast in any theater company with any group of people. So how I'm writing the show is I'm developing it so there are only going to be 8 to 10 actors in the show, where 4 of them play one role, and then the rest of them encompass like 4 roles each. And of course that could be expanded for whatever you'd want to do, but my goal is just to make a show that anybody could produce. Because especially after we come out of COVID, lots of people are going to want to be producing shows, and a lot of people want to do shows that they just can't. So I'm hoping somewhere down the line, this show can be made that thing, that hole that needs to be filled. In the show, I use da 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 na a lot, because the lyric that I have thrown on there is something fantastic, Mr. Fox, and you can take that da 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 and make any phrase that you want out of it. The one that I've used in the later song in the show is "Will I be fantastic?" And I think that it's a wonderful one-liner thing to throw in that really encapsulates how the character is feeling in that moment. And then you can also, it's a very malleable type of melody that you can futz around in 1,000 different ways, change the register, change notes. When I'm looking for a thematic melody, it comes from a moment in the show that has defined a character. And I think the lyric, "Will I be fantastic?" is exactly what describes Ash. Like, if you were to boil it down to one measure, that's it. So when I want to come back to that concept of wanting to be more than he is, or trying to figure out his own trajectory, that's the thing I come back to.
And I think there's something so powerful in that line. I mean, a question like that, that stings, that lingers. Will I be fantastic?
When it comes to writing a second verse or second chorus, then the audience is feeling a little bit comfortable. And then the bridge is where you finally get your chance. You're thrown for a loop in the bridge. You have this totally new sound. And then suddenly we get brought into this minor feel. So nobody's expecting this. So then when we finally get brought back to the pre-chorus, it almost feels like we've been taken for another loop again. You don't exactly know what key you're in. Because the tonic chord isn't there at all. So yeah, I think that being able to be aware of where the song is rooted, you still know that there is a key here. We're bringing it back to home base in the bridge, but not knowing exactly where you are for like those 2 measures in between. It's really helpful in surprising an audience a little bit.
So I'm almost picturing, the way I'm seeing you write this musical is I'm picturing you sitting down at your couch watching the film and just pausing it and jumping up to the piano when you feel those feelings.
I can't say that that's inaccurate. I honestly can't. It'll also be like from a moment that I particularly, because I've watched this film so many times from my childhood till now.
It is such a good movie.
It's so good. If you haven't seen Fantastic Mr. Fox, go watch Fantastic Mr. Fox. It is one of my favorite movies of all time, which kind of like is why it's such my baby, this show. But there are certain moments from the film that stick out to me, like from my little child brain, that kind of stuck with me even as a child who, like, this movie didn't entirely resonate with at the time, just because it's a movie that I think is for for older children and adults. So those moments to me are the ones that stick out as things that need to be written about. It's kind of with Jon Favreau and his awful Lion King, where he wanted to recreate certain moments because they're the ones that like stick out to him in his brain when he made the show. And if you're going to recreate a film, you got to recreate those moments. So I'm trying to recreate the moments musically that were most important to me and most interesting to me as a child that have stuck around. It has been really awesome talking to you. I've been Jake Collins. You can find me on Instagram at jakecollins._. And I'm also on YouTube. If you just look up Jake Collins, I'll be there. And with that, here is my song called Small.
How'd I get stuck with Christopherson as my involuntary roommate? Sure, his dad's ill, but what an offering, how generous. No, yeah, he's great. This kid, he's a natural. Check out his form, such style, such grace. It makes me wanna take a crack of the whack bat and smack him in the face. Oh. Your head in the game and get yourself out of the shadow. It's no excuse that you were raised a lesser version of your dad. Oh, who is the fox that you wanna be? A cub who moans and whines while he sits on the sidelines. Show some sense of maturity. You can't grow up when you're this behind. I'm not my father. No, I'm calling Hotbox. Don't wanna be fantastic, Mr. Fox. I've learned to block out the noise when I can't hear my own voice. I've learned to break my own falls, but I'm sick of being small. Hey Ash, get off the bench and get yourself back on the field. $5 years wasted on a fragmented fairy tale waiting to be revealed. I don't have the patience for waiting for answers when I already know them. Mom and Dad think I'm just a kid. Well, I can show them. I've heard this story, Dad. Get off your soapbox. I know I'm not fantastic, Mr. Fox. If nothing else that I've known to get back up on my own, no one helps you at all. I'm stuck with being small. Then Dad says we're getting a visit from your cousin. Then walks in Mother cussing Christopherson. How is this kid everything I wanted to be? How's he a better son than me?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this magical journey through 4 incredible creators' minds. You could catch our next episode with 4 more incredible creators June 30th. And there is a donate button below to help New Light Theater keep doing things like this, because this is awesome and we want to keep doing this. So hit that button. For real. It's not a joke. Hit it. Now. Thanks.